Good?
We can start?
Yeah.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom, Wisnoff family, and some friends that have come to celebrate with Ben and with Max. Guys, you have to excuse me. There might be one time, you have to excuse me at least once if I say Sam and John, all right? Because, I don't know, I have a wonderful memory of being with the family in Philadelphia a couple years ago. And Ben and Max, I won't say better, I won't say best, but I will say Sam and John, they set a tone, they set an example for the younger brothers. And I want to tell you, through a difficult year and a challenging year, and especially where the service is not even in person, the two of you have stepped up, even with all your activities in school, your commitments. You took this seriously, and I'm really proud of you for carrying through with your promise to prepare and to be able to study and ready to lead your family and the congregation. And speaking about the congregation, I didn't want to leave it to last. I wanted to say, you know, certainly as a congregational rabbi, I appreciate what Temple B'nai Jacob in Bakersfield has done by opening their doors to the family, to be able to use their historic sanctuary and the Torah, and to be able to have a real suitable environment for you to celebrate and for you to have this service of B'nai Mitzvah. Again, our thanks to Howard Silver and Buell Boaz and Jay, who's done a lot of the technical stuff. And I believe there's a congregant named Goethe who has also been helpful and I think has prepared something after the service as well for the family and friends. So Max, Ben, I guess one of the messages is, you know, you've done your part, but in order for this to become a reality between your parents and members of the congregation and me and other family members who have supported you in different ways, right? Nobody can accomplish a whole lot without the support and the presence of many others. So I think you should take a moment before you begin and just think about all of the people you know and people you haven't met, who lived in the past, who made this congregation, the synagogue possible, the Jewish community out in California. It's one of the newer communities relative to Philadelphia or Boston or along the East Coast. So, yeah, I think you should take a moment just to reflect on all that and the fact that you've reached one of your dreams.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today to celebrate our B'nai Mitzvah. Today we gather to celebrate Shabbat, the original personal day, our Jewish day of rest. Almost every holiday, festival, and celebration in the Jewish calendar incorporates the lighting of candles. The flames of the candles represent Shalom Bayit, harmony among members of a family and community. The flames also represent Oneg Shabbat, the joy that is experienced when celebrating the Sabbath.
So I'd like to ask Max and Ben and Jen and Warren and Sam and John to make their way to the candles. I'd like to ask everyone to please rise and turn to page 717 in your prayer books. That's the light blue with a little gray, and it's called Sidur Sim Shalom. page 717, as we begin our service with the lighting of the candles, and the family will say the blessing together.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We praise you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who's made us a unique and holy people, commanding us in kindling the light for Shabbat. And I invite you to turn to each other. While you might have already done this already, but I turn to each other, wish each other Shabbat Shalom, a hug, a kiss. If you're comfortable doing so, that would be great. And I invite you to be seated. And Max and Ben, you can return to the lectern.
Technical difficulties real quick. Just please stand by. They're on fire.
Spiritual flame. It's fine.
Did you get it, Juan?
No.
Get a hold of Gertrude and she'll give her a lighter. Juan.
They're lit now.
Go ahead, Ben.
Our service begins with a song called Kinematov. Its lyrics are the first verse of Psalm 133, which says, "Behold how good and how pleasant it is for people to live in the spirit of togetherness." Please join in singing this expression of joy and shalom for being together for Shabbat and our B'nai Mitzvah.
The words are not found in the prayer book. Hopefully, some of the members of the congregation know the words. I invite you to sing along with Max and Ben.
Kinematov umanaim, shevet ahim gam yahad. Kinematov umanaim, shevet ahim gam yahad. Kinematov, shevet ahim gam yahad. Kinematov, shevet ahim gam yahad.
Before the boys go on, there's a special blessing. In a lot of services, it's done at the end of the service. But this bar mitzvah, in a lot of ways, is a reunion for the family. I know you all live in different parts of the country, and with COVID, it has certainly restricted the ability of families and friendship circles to be together. So this blessing called the Shehechianu is done when we Jews experience something for the first time in a lifetime. And for Max and Ben, their bar mitzvah is a unique moment. The fact that the family is seeing each other and together like this is a unique moment. And for some, following at least the first wave of COVID, this could be the first time that some people are actually getting together in pretty large groups. So I felt at the beginning of the service, we should do a Shehechianu. So because of the delay, I'm going to say a word or two at a time of the blessing and ask you to repeat after me. Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Adonai Eloheinu.
Adonai Eloheinu.
Melech ha'olam.
Melech ha'olam.
Shehechianu.
Shehechianu.
V'kiyamanu.
V'kiyamanu.
V'higianu.
V'higianu.
Lazman hazeh.
Lazman hazeh.
We praise you, Lord our God,
We praise you, Lord our God,
ruler of the universe,
ruler of the universe,
who has kept us alive,
who has kept us alive,
has sustained us,
has sustained us,
and enabled us
and enabled us
to reach this special moment.
to reach this special moment.
And let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
Warren, Jen, would you please come forward and stand with your sons? So before I ask you to place the tallis, Warren, on Max and Jen on Ben, I want to say something to the two of you, Warren, Jen. Judaism believes as much as it's important to provide our children with teachers and people who know things about science and math and history and all kinds of other subjects, Judaism believes the most important teachers our children will ever have are their parents. And the two of you, as I've gotten to know you for the years and years, and especially in preparation for the B'nai Mitzvah of your sons, the more we ventured this year, we had a little time to chat, and you know, the boys, they reflect. They are those proverbial apples that have not fallen too far from the tree. Let's see, where to begin? Your boy's sense of responsibility, your boy's sense of integrity, of honesty, your boy's sense of hard work and dedication to a goal, your boy's sense of teamwork, your boy's sense of trying your best to do the right thing and say the right things. You know, Max, I remember a conversation I had with Max, and he, even at his age, he says to me, there are a lot of times I catch myself before I might say something God wouldn't approve of. Your boys have a sense of the spirit of the faith because you speak it, because you live it. And your bravery, your courage, again, I see it in the boys. And so the greatest teachings are the examples our children see. And the last message I'll say is, what our children will be is based on what they see. And you both provide the leadership that your boys reflect. So, Max, Ben, by receiving these two taluses, by wearing these prayer shawls, you're telling your parents, Mom and Dad, what you provided us, we now accept and take to heart, and will carry those with us and live that. Even when you're not watching and we're out of the house and we are full-fledged men in the world. And remember, Ben and Max, every day you are bar mitzvah. Not just today, from this day forward. And you need to live the words, the values that those taluses represent. So Warren, Jen, you have earned this moment. And why don't you place the taluses on your son's shoulders? And then Max, I'll ask you to say the blessing first, and then Ben.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehit atef batzitzi.
Amen. Ben, go ahead.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehit atef batzitzit.
Amen.
Amen. We praise you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who's made us a holy and unique people, commanding us to wear the fringes, the tzitzit. All right. Jen, Warren, I invite you to be seated. Dear friends in the congregation, I ask you to turn to page 722 for a very traditional Shabbat melody, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom means not only hello and goodbye, it means peace, it means health, well-being, contentment, unity. And so when one says Shalom Aleichem, we're saying may all these blessings be upon you, with you, through the course of Shabbat and beyond. The boys are going to lead us in Shalom Aleichem, 722.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Hakadosh
Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlahim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Boahem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlahim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Mi L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlahim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Tsehem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlahim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. The service continues with the Vishamru. The words of the prayer are taken from the book of Exodus in the Torah. The Vishamru conveys the idea that God required the Sabbath day to rest after creating the world. We model God by using the Shabbat to rest after an active week of school, work, and other activities. Join Ben and I as we lead you in the Vishamru.
Page
Vishamru
294.
294.
At the top of the page, 294. And for those of you that won't be chanting along with the boys, across the page on 295 is the English translation. Vishamru.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
In Judaism, worshippers are called to prayer through the words of the Baruch Hu. The words of this prayer acknowledge that we are in the presence of God. I would like to invite Max to come forward and open the ark. Please turn to page 279 and rise for the Baruch Hu.
Ben, can you lead us, please? Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMivorah, Baruch Adonai HaMivorah, Le'olam Va'ed.
Max, you can close the ark, and when the doors are closed, I invite everyone to be seated. Thank you, Max. Thank you, Ben. Before we move on with the Shema, I never let an opportunity go by during a prayer service to talk a little bit about how I believe God works in the world. As many of you know, the Olympics finished up a week or so ago, and thousands of athletes from around the world competed These athletes, their bodies are primed and exercised and ready to perform at peak ability. Well, this coming week, August 24th to September 5th, will be the Paralympics. And over 70 years ago, there was a gentleman, a Jewish man named Dr. Gutman. And Dr. Gutman lived in Nazi-occupied Poland. And somehow he was able to escape when most of his family were taken to the concentration camps. Dr. Gutman wound up in the UK, in England, and he was put in charge of a part of a hospital that dealt with spinal cord injuries. And at that time, in Europe, 70 years ago, anybody with a spinal cord injury, for the most part, had a very negative prognosis. Very limited ability to move, to do anything, other than sit or lay in a bed. Dr. Gutman, he had other visions, other aspirations for his patients. And sure enough, he believed that if some of these patients maybe got to play some games and maybe got involved with some exercise other than the repetitious stuff that was very painful and monotonous in the hospital, in the rehab, maybe not only could he affect physicality, but also their mentality. And sure enough, within 3-4 years, he had them do some archery and some other basic movements with the limbs and the parts of their bodies that they were able. The bottom line is, within a few years, he had other hospitals coming together, playing games, competitions between each hospital's injured patients with spinal cord injury. And eventually, this is what led to the Paralympics. 4,400 athletes will gather in Japan next week and compete in wheelchairs, with prosthetics. You want to know where God is? God was in Dr. Gutman's belief that the human will can overcome a spinal cord injury or an amputation, to have meaningful and purposeful activity, that you don't have to just lie as a vegetable, even when you have a major body injury. You know where God is found? In the will of all those athletes and the people who support them to come together and compete. And you'll see those athletes, and they're going to hug each other, and they're going to congratulate each other. Oh yeah, they want to win, but their attitudes are, I'm grateful just to put one foot in front of the other, or lift my arms over my head. Max, Ben, I know you are athletes, and I know you love to compete. And I hope you always keep in mind that, the spirit, faith, Max, I think you said to me, sometimes you prayed before a game that the athletes stay healthy, that the athletes do the best they can on the court. And whatever happens in terms of who wins and loses, that's up to the teams themselves. God is always present. God is always there. Right, not picking sides, but God is about bringing out our best, even when we're not at our best. And I hope that you carry, just like those special athletes that are coming to Japan, that you carry that spirit, the presence, the knowledge that God is always with you and blessing you, and that you reflect the blessings that God gives to the world. Thanks for listening, guys. Max, go ahead.
Our service continues with the Shema and the V'ahavta. The word Shema means hear. It is the central prayer of our worship service. The Shema is like a pledge to God that will live up to God's expectations for us to be kind, generous, and caring. The Shema also teaches us that God is everywhere, reminding us that we are never alone. Please turn to page 284 for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
And I'm going to ask the congregation, we're going to do something a little different than what was on the script. I'm going to ask the congregation to go over to page 285. And right above the line, as you can see, it says Deuteronomy 6, chapter 6, 4-9. So the next part of the Shema, the V'ahavta, just like the Shema itself, comes from the book of Deuteronomy, the 5th book of the Torah. I'm going to ask those in the congregation to read the English of the V'ahavta, beginning with love the Lord your God. Would you all do that, please? Go ahead.
Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And these words which I command you this day, you shall take to heart. You shall diligently teach them to your children. You shall recite them at home and away, morning and night. You shall bind them as a sign upon your hand. They shall be a reminder above your eyes, and you shall inscribe them upon the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates.
Nicely done, congregation. Go ahead, Ben.
The next section of our service is called the Amida. The word Amida means to stand. It is a collection of blessings that praise God, communicate requests of God, and express gratitude to God. This is an opportunity to communicate with God while praying on our own and in our own way. Rise and silently read 354 to 364.
So please rise. As Ben actually said, we turn to page 354, and we'll have a chance to reflect on some of the words over the next 10 pages. You probably won't have time to kind of focus on all of it, but I will say that our tradition is very wise in giving us at every prayer service the opportunity to be on our own, to have a few moments of silence, to hear our own selves think, and to maybe just be able to assess life as it is for us in the moment. And with the new year coming, this is a wonderful opportunity, to ask ourselves, how have we been as human beings? How has life affected us? Have all the negative news and COVID, what kind of price has it taken on our souls and our hearts? And what kind of work do we have to do in the next couple weeks as the new year starts to kind of revitalize our souls and to get us more hopeful again and more optimistic? So let's take a few moments to really use this time prayerfully, and we'll resume in a little while. 354 to 364. You may be seated. Dear friends, I ask you to turn to page 365. Again, I'm going to add this to our planned service. In the middle of the page, this is a very traditional blessing that concludes the Amida, the set of prayers that make up this section of the service. And over the last number of years, as I've noticed, and I'm sure you have felt, that our country is becoming noisier. People are becoming less tolerant of one another, especially when opinions differ. We, I think, have become less civilized, reflected in our language, our tone of voices, our lack of patience with each other. And so I can only affect those, potentially anyway, that hear me, that I teach. And so at every prayer service, every bar mitzvah, every Friday night, I pray that these words enter our souls and our hearts. Because if it is to be, it is up to me, it is up to we, the people, to be dignified, to be human beings in the best sense we are capable. So I pray for all of us. Our God, keep our tongues from evil and our lips from speaking lies. Help us to ignore those who slander us. Let us be humble before all. Open our hearts to the ways of your Torah so that we may pursue the spirit of your mitzvah, your ways. Frustrate the designs of those who plot against us. Make nothing of their schemes. Do so because of your compassion and your influence, your holiness, your Torah. Answer our prayers for the deliverance of your people. May the words of our mouths and meditations of our hearts be acceptable to you, our rock, our Redeemer. May the one who brings peace, shalom, to the universe, bring peace to us, to Israel, and to every human being who lives on planet Earth. And let us say, Amen. Max?
Shabbat was created to provide us with shalom, or peace. Shabbat is an opportunity to experience the blessings of quiet and rest, the kind of quality of life that we do not often get to enjoy during the other days of the week. We offer a prayer for peace called Oseh Shalom. Please turn to page 392, the last Hebrew sentence. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ya'kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ya'kol Yisrael.
We have come to the Torah service. Each Shabbat, the Torah is read in congregations all over the world. When the Torah scroll is removed from the ark, it is carried around the congregation as a way to show love and respect for the wisdom and inspiration the Torah offers us as Jewish people. I would like to invite my brothers to come and open the ark.
And please turn to page 398. And out of respect to the Torah, please rise. And Max and Ben and Buell, would you please also go to the ark as well? Vayehi bin so Aharon, Vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, V'yafutzu oivecha, V'yanusu misanecha, Mipanecha, Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, U'devar Adonai mi Yerushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, B'kedushato. Buell, if you'll hand the Torah to Max, and Max and Ben, please lead the congregation in the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Max, present the Torah to Ben. Try to hold it straight up in the air, up and down, Ben. Okay? Max and Ben, continue.
Baruch Shem Kivod, Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Gadlu Adonai iti, unerom emash shemo yachdav. Ben will hand the Torah back to Buell, and Buell will take the Torah around the congregation, allowing those who want to touch the Torah to make a personal connection, maybe reaching out with their prayer books or a tallis and kissing the Torah. Max and Ben will follow Buell, and I continue. Lecha Adonai hagedula v'hagevura v'hatiferet v'hanetzach v'hahod kicho b'shamayim uva'aretz, kicho b'shamayim uva'aretz. Adonai, excuse me, hamamlacha v'amit naseh lechol erosh. Ebeinu shalom alechem, Ebeinu shalom alechem, Ebeinu shalom alechem, Ebeinu shalom, shalom, shalom alechem, Ebeinu shalom alechem, Ebeinu shalom alechem, Ebeinu shalom alechem, Ebeinu shalom, shalom, shalom alechem. Please remain standing until the Torah has been fully prepared for the reading. Buell, do you have the spot?
Yes.
Okay, I invite everyone to please be seated. And before Max and Ben offer their lesson over and about this week's Torah portion, there is a very significant blessing that is said at this moment of the Torah service. And as I have the privilege week to week to lead a prayer service where there is Torah reading, I always think about the generations of Jewish people that smuggled Torahs into concentration camps, that smuggled sections of a Bible sewn into jackets and pockets so that they wouldn't be caught learning the words of our people. I think about the generations of Jews who put their lives on the line in order to perpetuate the examples of Torah. Our enemies always knew the heart and soul of our way of life starts with that scroll. And Ben and Max and everyone that is there, the value of the Jewish people really begins with the Torah. It's what distinguishes us from other people. And it is the inspiration. I remember going to Israel, and a cardinal representing the Pope in the Vatican told us as rabbis, you Jews, you're the trunk of the tree. And we as Catholics, we're a branch of that tree. And boys, that Torah, that's the roots. That's where it's established, the trunk of the tree, right there. So in appreciation for the privilege, the mitzvah that you're about to embark on, and that you're giving all of us the privilege to also be a part of, I say the words, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. We praise you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who's made us a unique people, commanding us to engage, to study, to learn and question the words from our Torah. Max, go ahead. Max, are you going to do the lesson first?
Oh, the lesson first? Yeah. My apologies.
The Devar Torah. Yeah.
Okay. The Kitei Sei is an interesting Torah portion which, from the book of Deuteronomy. The Torah Kitei Sei means when you go out to war. At first glance, it made very little sense. It's a portion made up of short lessons or rules to live by concerning anything you can imagine. For example, it talks about when building a house, you should put a fence along the roof so that if for some reason someone happens to fall off, you won't be accused of negligence. It also states that if a neighbor's donkey or ox is fallen on its side, do not ignore it, but help them raise the animal to its feet. But I did find a pretty good common theme with the majority of the suggestions. The theme was good deeds. A good amount of them gave examples of when you should help someone and for what reason. Basically, we should live our lives looking around and being helpful when someone crosses your path in need. It's got me thinking, am I helpful? And what are some times that I've helped someone else? If you look at the big picture of my life so far, I seem to be the one that needs the help. My parents help me with the food and clothing. They pay for school and home. They make sure I have opportunities in things that interest me. But what do? I finally thought of little things such as helping an elderly man up the stairs or helping a kid in algebra class some concepts who he doesn't really understand. Small deeds seem so insignificant, but they really add up to something enormous. Everyone gives in this way, or is thoughtful in this way, expects nothing in return. But they are actually building a better place, piece by piece. They teach the recipient how it feels to be helped. And in turn, they help someone else, and then another, and then another, and eventually it creates a chain, where from you doing one little thing creates a better home, community, town, and country. A quote that really stuck to me was said by Rabbi Harold S. Kushner. He said, "Do things for people not because of who they are, or what they do in return, but because of who you are." Everyone should have a goal to help people, and to teach them that even small actions can make a big difference. Someday, I hope to do even bigger and better things, but for now, I know that I can add value right where I am today.
Yasher Koach, nicely done.
When I first read the Kinematov, it seemed to be a bunch of laws that don't really relate to me. But if Judaism is timeless and always part of our lives, I needed to look for a deeper meaning and figure out how these commands apply to me today. I'm not going to invade or conquer another country. I'm not going to take a bunch of wives. My dad says one is more than enough. And I'm certainly not going to take prisoner as a slave. So how could this possibly apply to me? In Kinematov, God tells us how to treat a slave. You shall not turn over to his master a slave who is seeking freedom. The slave shall live with you in a place he chooses. The slave gets to choose. You must not treat him badly. These commands came at a different time. We know better now. But how did we get here? We are better because of these instructions. We were able to move out of barbarianism to where we are today because God taught us to have empathy for one another. Unfortunately, our ancestors were not the only ones who enslaved people. So I Googled slavery facts. Today, 167 countries still have slavery. India has 18.4 million slaves. China has 3.4 million. Pakistan, North Korea, Russia, Nigeria, Turkey all still have slaves today. But notice that America and Europe, and of course Israel, are not on that list. Why? It all started when Moses told the Jews to see people as people. Judaic values taught us to be kind, be thoughtful. Kinematov is a good reminder to us. Remember to consider people, and it reminds us how far we've come.
Yasher Koach, Ben, thank you. Okay, so at this time, Max is going to be the first reader of the Torah. And I invite you, dear friends, I believe at your seats, along with the prayer book, there is a copy of the Chumash, the 5 books of Moses, in book form. And if you will be kind enough to take out that volume and turn to page 1112 at the top of the page, we start with Kinematov, verse 10. And before Max reads from the Torah, traditionally there are members of the family called up to have the honor of the Aliyah, to recite the blessings before the actual reading. So I'm going to call on Aunt Rebecca, cousins Ian and Kara, to come forward and to say the blessings for the first Aliyah. Yamadu Rishon.
Can you repeat the page number, Rabbi? Can you repeat the page number, please, Rabbi?
Yes. We're on page 1112 in the Torah book, the Chumash.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'nasan lanu et torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Max, you read the Torah.
Kinematov lamilchama al oiveha unitano Adonai Eloheha ve'yadeha ve'shahita shivyo ve'ra'ita bashivya אשת יפת תואר, ולשכת בה, ולקחת לך לאישה, והבאת אל תוך ביתך, וגילך את ראשה, ועשת את ציפורניה.
Rebecca?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan לנו Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So Rebecca, E, and Kara, you can go to the other side of the Torah reading table. Yamadu Sheni. Jonathan, Sam, would you please join your brothers for the second Aliyah? And Ben will take over the Torah reading honors after the blessing for the second Aliyah. And Ben is going to continue reading on verse 13. Verse 13.
Baruch Adonai HaMvorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMvorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher harbanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Ben?
Amen. V'hisira et simat shivya me'aleha v'yashva b'beitecha uvachta et avia ve'et ima yerach yanim ve'ahar kain tavo eleha aleta v'hayeta leha ve'isha.
Sam? John? Go ahead. Baruch.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So Ian, Kara, you guys could go with Mom and go off the bima. Sam and John, you can go to the other side of the reading table. Yamadu Shlishi. We want to honor the grandparents of Max and Ben. Elliot, Barbara, all the way from Florida, would you come to the lectern for the shulchan for the third Aliyah?
Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch Adonai HaMvorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher harbanu mikol ha'amim v'nasanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Max?
V'haya im lo hafazta ba v'shilachta lenafsha umahor lo timkarena v'kasef lo titamer ba asher imita ki tihiena le'ish shetei nashim ha'ahat ahuva ha'ahat shnuya ve'yaldu lo vanim ha'ahuva ve'hashnuya ve'haya Haben, Habehor, Vasniya. Sorry.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher nasamanu Torah, emes b'chayei olam natam b'tahenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Sam and John, I invite you to return to your seats. Yamadu Rivi'i. Jen, Warren, proudly make your way to stand with your sons and offer the fourth aliyah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Amborach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Ben, go ahead.
Amen. V'haya b'yom chanehilo et banav et asher yihye lo yuhol levaker et ben ha'ahuva al pnei ben hasnua habehur ki et habehur ben hasnua yakir latit lo pi shinayim behol asher yimatzeh lo ki hu reshit ono lo mishpat ha-behorah.
Nicely done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. I'm going to invite everyone except for Buell to return to your seats, including Sam, Ben, and Max. Everyone can return to your seats. Buell is going to keep the yad on the next part of the Torah to be read. And dear friends, at this time, I'm going to do a prayer of healing and strength. And I know that Warren and Jen wanted me to pray for the well-being of Martin Lizzerbram and Marvin Schaefer. And I ask you to think about people that you know who might be home or in the hospital. And please know that we are praying for their well-being. And I don't know if there's anybody in the congregation that wants to articulate, to call out anyone's name in particular who might be in the hospital or home struggling with their health. You may do so at this time. So I'm going to do the prayer for healing and strength. Mishebeirach Avotenu Mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishebeirach imotenu mikor habracha avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shleimah, the renewal of their bodies, the renewal of their spirit, and let us say, Amen. At this time, I am going to call Max back to the Torah by his Hebrew name. Max, don't go up just yet. And this is the moment when Max says the blessings that his parents and grandparents and his aunt and cousins and brothers said before him. This is the moment he is recognized as a bar mitzvah for the first time. Ya'amod, 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 Moshe, Ben Ze'ev, v'Jennifer, Habar Mitzvah, Chazak.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Ki yeh leish bein sorer umoreh einenu shomea bekol aviv uvekol imo v'yisru oto v'lo yishma alehem v'tavshuvo aviv v'imo v'hotziu oto El ziknei iro ve'el sha'ar mikomo ve'ameru el ziknei iro v'neinu zeh sorer umoreh einenu shomea b'kolenu zolel v'sovei. Go ahead, Max.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher natan lanu Torat Emet v'chaye olam nota b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Max, would you move to the other side of Buell? And now I call up Ben. Ya'amod, 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 Ben Yamin, Ben Ze'ev, v'Jennifer, Habar Mitzvah, Chazak.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Urgamu Kol Anshe Iro Va'avanim Va'metz Uvi Arta Hara Mikir Becha V'cho Yisrael Yishma'u V'yira'u V'chi Yeh V'ish Chet Mishpat Mavet V'humat V'talita Oto Al Eitz. Ben?
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher natan lanu Torat Emet v'chaye olam nota b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Max and Ben, you can come back to the lectern, to the microphone. Before Buell lifts the Torah, I'm going to invite Ian and Kara to please go to Buell, where you're going to help dress the Torah after Buell has lifted it. Ladies and gentlemen, before we prepare the Torah for its return to the Ark, I'd like to invite you to turn to page 415, back in the prayer book. Page 415. One of the things that I really have come to appreciate this time around about Jennifer and Warren, based on our conversations, is their love for America, their appreciation for the founding principles of our country, the fact that it was inspired by the Exodus and the Israelites, and that we are ideally a country about law and liberty and personal freedom. And so they felt, and I agree, that we need a prayer for our country. And so no matter where one stands politically, we must learn to get along. This is an experiment. Relative to other countries, America is pretty young. And the experiment is going through some real hard times. And no matter what color, no matter what religion, no matter what state, the only way we all succeed is if we all work as a united country. And I think it's going to be up to the generation of Sam and John and Ben and Max, because my generation, we're not doing such a good job right now. So let us pray for our blessed United States of America. Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask your blessings for our country, for its government, for its leaders and advisors, and for all who exercise just and rightful authority. Teach them insights of your Torah, that they may administer all affairs of state fairly, that peace and security, happiness and prosperity, justice and freedom may forever abide for all of us. Creator of all humans, bless all the inhabitants of our country, all of our inhabitants, with your spirit, and may citizens of all races, creeds forge a common bond in true harmony to banish all hatred and bigotry, to safeguard the ideals and the institutions which are the pride and the glory of this wonderful country. May this land under your guidance, O God, be an influence for good throughout the world, uniting all people in shalom, in peace and freedom, and helping to fulfill the vision of your prophets when they said, nation shall not lift up swords against nation, neither will they have to ever learn the lessons of war. And let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
825. Warren and Jennifer also felt we should sing just one stanza of America the Beautiful. 825. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of rain, for purple mountains, majesties, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shall face on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Dear friends, please rise as Buell lifts the Torah, and then Ian and Kara will dress. V'zot HaTorah asher sa Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe. Al shlosha divarim, al shlosha divarim, al shlosha divarim, ha'olam amen. Al haTorah v'al avodah v'al gemilut chasadim. Al haTorah v'al avodah v'al gemilut chasadim. David Melech Yisrael Chai Chai v'kayam. David Melech Yisrael Chai v'kayam. Kara, Ian, would you open the ark, please? Once you address the Torah. And ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise and turn to Pot 510 for Aleinu. 510 in your prayer books for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, laten gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo samcho kenu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam. Va'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim modim lifnei melech malchei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. And at the little box at the end of the second paragraph in Hebrew, 510, we conclude with V'ne'emar. V'ne'emar Haya Adonai, excuse me, Lemelech al kol haaretz, Vayom mahu, Yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo, echad. The ark will be closed, but I'm going to invite the rest of the congregation to please remain standing as we turn to page 512 for the memory prayer called the Kaddish. Dear friends, when I say Kaddish, I think about the words of Albert Einstein, who once taught that when someone passes away, it ends a life. But he also suggested it does not have to end our relationship with that life. When we Jews say Kaddish, when we visit the cemetery, when we do acts of charity in the name of a loved one who has died, when we do things we used to do with that person or people, when we perpetuate traditions that were important to them, we keep the relationship with them alive. when we mention their names, when we're in gatherings like this, or at holiday dinners, we keep the relationship alive. So Warren and Jennifer and Max and Ben wanted me to remember to keep the relationship front and center with Sam and Charlotte Wisnoff, with Florence and Elmer Wolf, with Alan Christensen, Phil and Elaine Klein, with Lillian and Alvin Marks, with Naki Wisniewski and Jack Wisniewski, Mark Ulitsky, with Joe and Esther Lizerbrand, Sydney Lizerbrand, and Bella Seidman. And I know it is very important for the members of the congregation, Temple B'nai Jacob, for us to also remember the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the passing of Oscar Rudnick, Louis L. Goldwater, the Yortzeit of Anna W. Franklin, Lenny Younger, Helen Schuster, Max Weiner, Sarah Lindberg, and the Yortzeit for Howard's mother of blessed memory, Rita Silver. For all those we remember this morning, this Shabbat day, we turn to page 512. And if you find it hard in the Hebrew, there is the transliteration on the opposite page. Let's join together. Yitgadah, v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, v'yolma divra chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon, v'yomechon, v'chayeh b'chol beit Yisrael, Adalah u'bizman koriv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mivorach v'olam olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitfa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah v'rechu. Li'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbachata v'nechemata, Damiran v'olma, v'imru amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav, u'ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. You may be seated. Max, Ben, I'm going to ask you to stay right where you are. Jennifer, Warren, I believe you have a few words that you and feelings and hopes you'd like to share with your sons.
Okay. I just want to thank everyone for coming. I'm not going to cry this time. I'll try it. Especially the long trip with the Morrisons and grandparents from Florida and the Wisniewskis. Appreciate it. I want to thank all the people that made this possible. Howard Silva for bringing us into this temple here. Real Boaz for helping us with the Torah. And Jay for all his technical work. We're very grateful. Okay. Yeah, Rabbi.
You're going to make me cry.
I know. God, it's contagious. Okay, we're going to cut this, Jay. You're going to go in the film and cut it out. Okay. That's a good thing about video. Okay. I'm just so grateful to you for your untiring devotion to us. So, it's been great. I don't even want to read what I had. It was so bad. So, I have to say that he's just a wonderful rabbi, and his teachings don't just enough.
Sound like Ben.
It's not about just the physical. There's the structure. There's everything, but it goes beyond. And I couldn't have done it without him. So yeah, I'm tired. So okay. All right, on to the other stuff. I want to thank Max and Ben and congratulate them. We're so proud of you. So just a little personal note about Max. When he came along, he changed our house. We were pretty calm and normal two-boy family. And then Max came, and from day one, he was very aware of his brothers. And he always tried to do what they were doing, and I had to keep a very close eye on Max. And he tried to walk before he could crawl. He tried to climb ladders before he could walk. And he just was so wanted to catch up to his brothers. And Sam and John, they were really, really good kids. We had this, I don't know what it was. I thought all kids were this way, but they would ask me when they were babies if they could touch something they weren't sure about, which is very strange. So Sam would go up to the electrical light socket on the wall, and he would look at it and point to it, look at me, and I would go, no. And he'd go, okay. And John would go up to the same electrical light socket, look at it, point to it, look at me, and I would say no. And then he would look at it again, point to it, look at me. I'd say no. And he would stop. It took him twice, but he always asked twice. Max would barrel up to the light socket and just jam his finger in it, and then look at me. So that's the difference between what Max brought to our house was a sense of adventure, and it was just a bright life that you brought. It was noisy. You were always laughing, always determined. So you've always been very brave, courageous, and curious, and you never give up. Your hard work in basketball and your studies has been recognized by your coaches and teachers, and you're amazing. Yep. I know you will continue to express all these qualities that God has given you to the fullest. Okay, Ben. I wasn't sure I could handle a fourth boy. I remember lying on the floor crying out to God, help me get through this. But I think God knew that I had to have this last little gift. So anyway, you can tell why. So he's literally been shaking with joy since the day he was born. Those hands and feet would shake with excitement whenever someone would smile at him or come near him or talk to him. If he got his diaper changed, he's always just been shedding joy. And he doesn't have just one group of friends. Everyone wants to be his friend. His contagious joy is requested at every birthday party, his basketball teams, his teachers' classrooms. Every year I'm told by a teacher, I don't care who I get in my class as long as I have Ben. I had a teacher tell me that she bases all her instruction on Ben's face. If he is smiling, she knew she was on the right track. If he didn't smile, she would call me and say, is he tired? Something wrong? Am I doing something wrong? Do I need to change the lesson? And Ben would honestly tell her that her game was boring or too complicated, and she would make the necessary adjustments. Your brothers are very lucky to have you. You've never whined or complained about them. You've never taken their things. You roll with the punches, literally, and you never cry. We love you so much. I have no doubt the light and joy you will shed on this world. God blessings on you both. So, I'm done.
Okay. Well,
you were great again. So I'm going to take 2 seconds for the rabbi also. You know, I try to preach family to my boys, and you know what, let me start back. I consider myself not the most emotional person. I make a living of walking into emergencies, keeping my cool while everybody else is. But when these 4 boys, that's out the window. You're my...
Not you too, Dad.
It's okay. So, Rabbi, when you're preaching family, we're happy, you know, video is amazing because I was at your services. I met my wife. You married us. You named my children. You bar mitzvahed all my children. And you've been with us for the whole life, you know, all our life events. I'm very appreciative. Through 4 or 5 different states of moving, literal states. So I appreciate that. I've tried to be a family man so that my boys could see what family was. My grandfathers did that, my father. We got together, and the way you guys display it is by the way you are with each other. I don't know if you know you do it, but your brothers come first. And I burst with pride when I see that. I love the 4 of you and your mother much.
You keep making those ribs, Warren.
Now we can talk serious. 8 racks I made the other day. And in the house of God, Jennifer Wisnoff, you have been the best wife and the best mother, working it like a full-time job
Amen.
times 5, trying to make sure these boys, you know, get to where they need to be. So I appreciate you. This is not the religion you were born with, but it's one you've embraced with a rabbi that has embraced you, and I'm just appreciative. Thank you.
Oh, well. Jen, Warren, you could go back to your seats. So, boys, I got just a couple other things I want to say to you. Your dad sent me the other day a little book that the synagogue had prepared over 60 years ago when they were already 50 years old. The synagogue community that has hosted you today is over 100 years old. And that's pretty incredible for one synagogue to be in a particular place for that long. And I want to quote what the Rabbi Jack Levy wrote to his congregation that I think is an important message for you. He wrote these words over 60 years ago. You guys hear me? All right. This is what he wrote. Jew and non-Jew alike should appreciate Israel's, the Jewish people's contribution to the humanization of the world population, to bring home to every Jewish person the awareness that he or she is a member of a religious community whose story is like none other. Judaism teaches the indestructibility of the spirit in human life and history. So, guys, you are a part of a people that has made a huge difference. That Dr. Gutman I mentioned earlier, countless people by their sacrifices, their education, their creativity, their morals, their ethics, and now you're stepping up to the plate. And now you are young men who are expected to live those standards. I want to quote the president of the congregation who wrote this in the same words. He said, "Our synagogue community for its first 50 years has been a beacon of light to our whole community, Jew and Gentile. We have weathered the storms, economic depressions, wars, population decrease. We have never closed doors to anyone. We have answered with charity, not only to our community, but across the country. We've shared in community responsibilities and programs. Gentlemen, just because we have been blessed to be part of this wonderful people, bad stuff is going to happen. Challenges are going to happen. The congregation has experienced it, but no matter what, still finds ways to give, to share, to be a blessing. So, Max and Ben, my hope for the two of you, whether you are literally wearing your taluses beyond today or not, you take with you that sense of responsibility, and that you now are the newest links in this chain that goes back as old as any other religion in the world, and we're still here, and we are making a big difference. Ben, Max, before I do the final blessing. Ben, I remember a couple of months ago, it might have been a little longer, you were recalling, it was 36-36, tie game. You took the last shot and bang, it went down. And the joy on your face when you, and proud, it was wonderful. But also, Ben, I think Max was there. And Max was given more details that you didn't give. Your brother was so proud of you for having the guts to take the shot, and of course making it as well. Guys, and if John and Sam are still up and listening, man, the four of you got each other. And I hope as you achieve and as you experience new things, you're going to be proud of each other. You're going to be happy for each other. You're going to be with each other physically and spiritually to be there as brothers. And as your dad said, now the four of you, one of the things you have in common, you all have experienced bar mitzvah, the preparation, the experience of the service, wearing the talis, saying the blessings. Take all this spirit with you, take all the teaching, and grow with it. Don't ever be satisfied with who you are, what you know, and what you are together as brothers, as a family. Grow day by day, year by year. So, I say, Yevarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you strong. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's light, the light of kindness, patience, goodness, generosity, truth, dependability, may that light shine upon you, and then may you shine the light to those who will be blessed to share your life with you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. And may you and your loved ones be blessed with the greatest gift Because without shalom, without health, well-being, unity, nothing else is possible. May you be blessed with huge amounts of shalom moving forward. Congratulations, Mazel Tov. Guys, do you have a few words you want to say before we conclude?
Yes, we do have a few thank yous we'd like to say. We'd like to thank everyone for coming out to be with us today.
And a special thank you to everyone who traveled from far to be with us today.
I guess that also includes us. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you, Grandma and Papa, for helping to plan the B'nai Mitzvah and reinforcing what an important milestone this is. Thank you, and we love you.
Maya, thank you for helping us every day, for making sure we are standing straight and taking care of us.
To the man behind the screen, Rabbi Cove, you are real. Thank you for the unimaginable amount of patience. You truly have a synagogue without walls, and we are so grateful for you.
Thank you to Sam and John. You are the best big brothers anyone could have.
And to Mom and Dad, thank you for always expecting the best out of us and showing us the right way. Congratulations, John. You were a good partner. I wish you were John. I'm just kidding. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. You were a good partner, and you worked real hard, and I'm very proud of you.
Max, thank you. You are also an amazing partner, and you are very cool, strong, and smart. Thank you.
I love it, guys. All right. I'm going to invite the two of you to go over to the challah and the wine. And Jennifer and Warren and John and Sam, would you guys go over to the table? Let's conclude with those blessings. And then we'll do a Siman Tov or Mazel Tov. Just wishing Max and Ben that the path into the future is bright, and where the stars and the moon and the planets line up, and all their dreams and wishes will come true. So let's start with the blessing over the wine. Would you guys take the Kiddush? And let's do the blessing. Go ahead, do the blessing together. Go ahead.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Parei peri hagafen.
Amen. L'chaim. And you can tear a piece of challah off, and let's do the motzi anytime you're ready.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lehem min haaretz.
Amen.
Amen. Dear friends, I'm so fortunate, blessed to have been a part of this experience. God bless technology and the people who invented Zoom. Just an incredible experience, the way that we connected. Enjoy the rest of the time together while you're here at the synagogue in California with each other. Let's do a Siman Tov Mazel Tov. Even if there's a delay, put your hands together. Here we go. Siman Tov Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, yeah. All right. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Wow.
Thank you, Rabbi. Have a good day.